Hello, Melanie. Welcome, everyone. I see a handful of names I recognize. That's exciting. I'm going to wait just a few more minutes to get started. Give a couple more people a chance to join. We'll probably start right at noon or right at 12:01. So just a note to all of you who are here already. If you have questions during the presentation, use that Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. I'll be monitoring that and stopping periodically to make sure questions are answered. Questions already. Elena, I think I recognize your name. This must not be your first presentation. Okay, so for those of you still joining, we're waiting just a couple more minutes to get started. Okay. Stan, hello. Okay. We'll wait just a couple more seconds and then we'll get going. Okay, so welcome everyone. We've got a good group today. A lot of names I recognize, which I always feel excited about. I am Katie Smith. I am a homeownership counselor out of Adair's Crestwell, Oregon office. And for those of you who have watched my presentations before, you know that I usually have a lovely co-host, Chuck Wines, and he is out today. So this will be an experiment. So typically one of us will talk and the other will kind of monitor the questions and try to stay on top of those. But today we're just going to see where we can go. So I'll stop periodically and try to get caught up on questions, but it'll be just a tiny bit different format than usual. So thank you in advance for just bearing with me. But without further ado, I am so excited to share this house with you today, and for multiple reasons. I always get excited to share houses. The best part is seeing the finished product after I've worked with a customer to design their house. But this one in particular is my little brother and sister-in-law's house. So I may be a little bit biased, but I love this house. It's beautiful. I love how they designed it, and I love how they personalized it as they built. So I've been waiting forever to share this, and I am excited today's the day. So this house is the Winchester. And the Winchester is one of our most popular plans. It's 1,560 square feet, but it feels bigger. And the reason you'll see as we get into it is just the layout. So it just has this massive common space, combined great room, dining, kitchen, and it just feels like a much bigger house when you're in it than it's 1,500 square foot. So just really efficiently designed. It's a great plan. I want to talk a bit about standard Winchester options before we start looking at their specific house. So this is our classic exterior for the Winchester. And what you should know about the outside of our houses is that they're all James Hardie siding and trim. So you have a 50-year siding and trim, just standard. Of course, we do a 50-year architectural shingle, and then we do the lifetime Geldwin windows. So this is standard regardless of which exterior elevation you select for yours. Classic exterior, I would say, is kind of entry level, so very simple, clean look. We do all lap siding all the way around. I see someone just raise their hand. So just a reminder, use that Q&A function. I'm going to monitor that and try to take breaks and answer questions. But Rebecca, if you want to shoot me a question in that Q&A chat, that would be excellent. So next elevation is traditions. And you can see traditions just adds a little bit of flair. So we have this added gable here. We've got the batten board and the peaks, and then we've trimmed out the windows and doors on the front of the house. Signature, just a little bit more flair, if flair is a good way to put it. So now we have this raised dentil rail here instead of this smooth belly band. We have the batten board and the gables. We've got these signature wrapped pillars, and then we've now trimmed out the windows and doors. You can't see it, but all the way around the house, and we've added batten board in the peaks on the side elevations. And then craftsman, of course, so here's the exception to the James Hardie siding and trim rule. So for craftsman elevation, we do cedar shake in the peaks. You've got your cedar columns at the front, and then just a craftsman style garage door, exterior lights, gridded windows, and finally farmhouse elevation. So we've got our batten board all along the front. We've got these eyebrow style roofs and a more farmhouse looking garage door, front door, exterior lights. So in this scenario, these customers, they actually run a business out the back of their property. And so their thought was just as many people are going to see the side of their house as the front. So it was important to them that they had the sides looking nice, they had it trimmed all the way around, and they had the batten board on the peaks on the sides as well. So they went ahead and did the signature elevation, but with some modifications. And I'll show you those. So I guess, let me just check questions really quick. My screen is not showing the Winchester model, looks more like the Deschutes. Let me scroll up and show you the floor plan and see if that changes your. So here we have the floor plan for this Winchester. Hopefully that answers your question, Rebecca. Is this the right plan? Okay, so to those of you who are familiar with this plan, you know that you walk in the front entry directly into your kitchen space. So you've got this big island, countertops wrapping all the way around this wall, and then great room dining at the back of the plan. Okay, and then it's a nice separation of space. So off to, I call them wings. So over on one wing, we have the 2 bedrooms and a bathroom separating them. And then on this wing, we have the master suite with the big master suite bathroom and walk-in closet. So on this plan, there is an option, a very popular option, to, instead of having the kitchen right here in the front, put it in a back corner. So then you're going to walk into your great room. So this is called the front living option. We're going to have the big great room space at the front, and then kitchen in the corner and dining room over here. And that option makes a couple of changes that just kind of go hand in hand. So of course, now we've got living room in the front, and then it moves this entrance slightly for the master suite. So it actually makes the utility room a little bit bigger. So you're going to notice that when we get into their video that they've got a slightly larger utility room. And I'm going to show you their red lines so you can see some of the major changes they made to this plan. So one thing that they did, which I've actually never done before, they instead of having the garage out here, they thought they didn't necessarily want the garage to be kind of the focal point as you pull up. So they did an open patio here. So you'll see we've got just the pillars out here and then just open patio with actual side entrance. So their driveway kind of circles around like this in this way. They went ahead and did the standard option to move this back wall back here, even with the rear wall of the bedroom and the master suite. So it adds about 100 square feet here. And then they did a custom option to just widen this whole great room space by 2 feet. Aside from that, just some little options here and there. So they added recessed lights, they added pendant lights. Let's look at the cleaner version. So here's kind of their finished concepts. So you can see now we have this carport with the recessed lights under it, a couple lights out front, and then you're going to walk into your great room. And then this space is a little bit wider and deeper now with this extension in the back. And then they've got their now kind of slanted island and kitchen looking out the rear. Utility room has this little added depth here. And then otherwise, no major changes. Okay, looks like we are caught up on questions. So I'll show you the front of this house. So here you can see kind of, it's hard to see, but this is now the open patio. So from the side, you can see it's not quite the focal point the garage was, which was the goal that they had. And then with the signature elevation, they now have this, a little extra flare on the side of the house for those people who are driving down their driveway all the time. Okay, so let's get into our video. I'm kicking myself with this video because if we would have sent the photographer out there just a couple days later, so much more work had been done. So there's still, you'll be able to see there's a lot of work happening while we're there videoing. It's still a great floor plan. They still did a beautiful job, so it'll be beneficial to see. The video goes really fast. So I'm going to pause, answer questions as they come in, and just keep moving ahead. So one thing to note here. So these customers, most of you probably know that you have two options for preparing this site. You can do what's called turnkey, which is when Adair kind of takes over the bulk of the site prep responsibilities, or you can do what's called owner equity. So these customers did the owner equity route. And this video was actually taken just a day before they did their backfill. So now when you come in, this is all smoothed out and level and prepared for concrete, and there's not this giant step from the native soil into the front door. Another thing I want to point out here is that they're opting to do their own post drops. So at this point, these raw pillars are left unfinished because the customer wanted to do some kind of custom cedar looking post drop. And then they built this. You'll probably be wondering what this little room is right here. So they'd started, the homeowners had started adding kind of this little storage room on their own. So that's something that's just partially started right here in the front, not part of the regular plan. Okay. And then you'll also see the house is not painted yet. So this is just the unpainted Hardy. And I think they plan to paint sometime during the summer. So let's get going. Okay, so they did add, I think we'll see another picture of the back of the front of the house, but they did add gridded windows at the front of the house. They just like the look of it. And the video goes really fast at first and then it slows down. So don't worry. Okay, so we're going into kind of the left wing of the house. So this is bedroom 3. This is a 13 by 10 bedroom. They've got their gridded windows facing the front of the house, nice big windows, kind of a craftsman style trim. And then the bypass doors on the closet. Lots of storage in this house, which is one thing I really, really love about it. And then here in bathroom 2, this bathroom is just entirely standard features. So these customers did do the 9-foot plate height rather than the standard 8-foot. They did the 9-foot and they also vaulted the living room, which you'll be able to see clearly in just a second. But in this bathroom, totally standard. They've got their standard sheet vinyl floors, standard tub shower. The sink's not in yet, but it's just a porcelain top mount sink, Moen plumbing fixtures. Turned out great. using the bathtub for storage for all the plumbing fixtures right now. And then here we're at the back of the house. So this is bedroom 2. This is a 13 by 10 again. Nice big 6-foot closet with bypass doors. They didn't do the gridded windows at the back of the house. And then the customers did paint themselves, and it turned out really nice. So you can see they're still working on finishing up trim and trim paint, but the walls were all painted by them and turned out great. Okay, I'm gonna pause right here so you can see. They did the 9-foot plate height option. So here we're at 9 foot at the front, and then they also did the vault. So vaulting all the way up and then back down to 9 foot. This is that front living option. You can see here, they're still waiting on some trim work in here, but they've got their trimmed out, really pretty gridded windows facing the front. They did add this little pantry door themselves. I love it. It turned out really great. And then they added the recessed lights in this room. And then there is that kitchen in the back corner. And that is their dining room under the chandelier. So you can see that the couple additions that they did, just, it feels like a massive room. And of course that vault doesn't hurt. I'm going to pause for just a second and check out the questions. Oh, Jamie Strand, you're funny. Okay, is that an upgraded front door? Yes, that is an upgraded front door. It's the Craftsman style, and the customers stained it themselves. Okay, looks like we're actually caught up on questions. So, couple notes about this kitchen. These guys did the naughty alder cabinets, and they did it in the bourbon color. They did add this built-in wine rack over here, and then they're going to do their own open shelves up here in this space. So they extended, the kitchen typically would end right here with these uppers and the lowers kind of even at that line. They added this section, and then they're going to add a little bit more right here. They did the farm sink, which turned out amazing. And of course, the granite countertop. So we've got the naughty alder. They did a shaker style. It's a little hard to see from this angle. They did do our standard appliance package with the exception of this vent hood. So typically we would put a microwave in this space. They're a little bit shorter, and they said they didn't like the idea of having the microwave here. So they did the standard vent hood, and I think they're just going to put their microwave in the pantry or on a countertop kind of a thing. So you've got your dishwasher, glass top, whirlpool, stainless steel oven, and then they will provide their own refrigerator as per usual. They did do here, I think there's a better view. I'm going to keep playing. They did the rough-in for the pendant lights here, and then they did provide their own pendant lights, and those are perfect for this house. And then one other thing to note is that they deleted our standard backsplash. So typically we would do subway tile backsplash. In this case, they thought they'd rather do something on their own. So we went ahead and deleted that standard backsplash, and they're going to add that themselves. And then now, if you were to look at it, there'd be this beautiful, tall bronze kitchen faucet here. But unfortunately, the video happened right before that was installed. Okay, so is the flat island standard? Yes. This is a question for Mike. So you'll see, if you're looking at the plans, you'll see kind of a dotted line that looks like it might be showing a raised island. That's actually showing you the overhang. So where the countertop overhangs so that you can push the stools underneath. And then do you have preferred suppliers on trim, plumbing, lighting, cabinets, appliances, doors, and windows? For Philip, we do. So we have multiple options. So we have standard options, we have upgrade options, and then we have vendors that we have relationships with. So we would say, okay, if you don't like our upgrade options, here are the vendors we can work with. Here's your options outside of basically what we stock or keep in warehouse. Hopefully that answered your question, Philip. Okay, so staying pretty caught up on the questions. I'm pretty pumped about that. So let's keep this rolling. Did not mean to fast forward though. amazing view, doesn't hurt. This is a really beautiful piece of property they have. So kind of maximizing on that view out the back. And then this is just a shot from the kitchen looking towards the front door and that big great room space. Okay. So rounding the corner here into the right wing of the house, this is going to be their mudroom. So kind of a nice pass through from the carport to the house, nice place to take shoes off without kind of tracking dirt into the house. Of course, washer dryer will go here. But then really they still have, so standard furnace here in the corner. And there is an option to build an enclosure around it if you don't like the idea of looking at your furnace. But they still have so much space. So I think they have planned for built-ins and laundry counters and storage and all that good stuff in here. And then this is just a standard vinyl floor. Looks really nice. So into their master suite, we've got the atrium door going out the back. They did a standard carpet in this room. Craftsman style trim, 9-foot ceilings, of course. And then as you turn, one thing to note here, so they deleted the door that typically goes here and just did a cased opening. They're going to do a barn door. So that's what this is for. And then their standard, that same standard vinyl floor, the giant master bathroom vanity, and then the 2 porcelain sinks to come. We'll get another shot of that. Here's their storage / tub. This is the future water closet. So toilet not installed yet, but it will go here under this window. And then you turn towards the walk-in closet and crawl space access. So in this bathroom, I think their plan eventually is to do 2 separate mirrors. So this is our standard mirror right now. They added, typically we have just 1 big vanity light kind of right in the center, and they decided to do 2, 1 over each sink instead. And then of course, porcelain sinks to come. And I love this shot, just a giant long hallway from their closet all the way back out those French doors where that amazing view is. Standard light in here, standard carpet. Okay, I'm gonna pause and see what we have for questions. And, okay. Are the bathroom counters regular bathroom height? I prefer kitchen height. Good question, Chris. So we do 36-inch high countertops in the kitchen, the island, and the master bath, which is a standard countertop height. Typically in bath 2, we assume that it's the kids' bathroom and it's just 3 to 4 inches shorter than the norm. So of course you can make it that 36-inch high if that's your preference, but as a standard, bathroom 2 is just a little bit shorter. And then for Philip, how many square feet is this home? Can you tell us the total home cost without the lot and utility improvement cost? Yes. Okay, so this house with the additions that they did is right at 1,718 square feet. This was ordered, a year ago, and prices have changed significantly in the last 6 months. And of course, dependent on your build area, the base price will change. But what I can tell you is that all the upgrades we just looked at totaled $43,000. So they did the base Winchester signature elevation and then added about $43,000 in upgrades to get what you see here. Hopefully that helps you. And then for Mike, no shelving in the closet. Good question, good observation. So typically we're gonna do just a shelf and pole around that master closet. These guys had ordered their own closet organizer system, so they went ahead and just deleted the shelf and pole, and they're planning to install their own. Okay. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to let this keep rolling so you can kind of see around the outside of this house. So from the back, side elevation, still not painted, but you can kind of see that added flare on the sides that come with that signature elevation. And that is it. I'm happy to play it again if anyone wants me to. And then I'll just keep answering questions until there's no more questions. So we have for Mike, where did they add the square feet? Good question. Let me show you. So they added square footage here. So they brought this back wall out even with the master suite, and that added 94 square feet. And then they actually, right where this red line is, they added 2 feet in width here to this room. So that's how they came up with that 1718 rather than the standard 1560. Okay, when customers delete a comp feature, do they get credit? This is for Jody. That is totally dependent on what you're deleting. So things like a shelf and pole in the closet, no, there wouldn't be a credit for that. But if you're deleting something larger, then we would talk. And just dependent upon your build area too, just call your local branch, and the HOC that works there should be able to give you a good idea of what to expect. I'm gonna get this video playing again really quick for someone asked for it. So we'll get that going again, and then I'll keep answering questions here. Okay. It's thinking. Oh gosh. There we go. Let's make this bigger. Okay. For Chris, how long does it take to have a home built and on a lot? That is a great question, and there is so much variance in that answer depending on where you're building. So of course, Adair builds in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Arizona. In our answers, depending on which branch you called, would be greatly different. So here in Crestwell, the build itself, so foundation to finish, is probably about 6.5, 7 months. But like I said, that number changes. Thanks. Can you show the great room again? Yes, Mike, it'll be there in just a second. Hopefully I can remember and try and pause it. And then Stan, does the exterior come painted? It does not. So painting is one of the primary equity building opportunities for a homeowner. So a lot of people, paint seems to be kind of a love or hate type scenario. You either love it or you absolutely never want to paint a day in your life. So for those people, having Adair paint is absolutely an option, or even hiring someone to paint is an option. And if you're working with a construction loan, typically your loan will pay for you to hire Adair to paint, or to hire a third party to paint, or even to buy materials for yourself to paint. So there's lots of options for paint. Just gonna try and remember and pause for a quick second here on the great room. So this, you can see this room here is what makes this 1,500 square foot house look like a much bigger house. It's just a massive space. And these guys, they had walked through a couple houses, and then they decided, you know what, we think when we get our couches in there and our pellet stove in the corner, we're gonna need just a tiny bit more space. So that's why they went ahead and did that 2-foot extension. So we'll keep this rolling. And then from Chris, can you sweat equity some of the things in the turnkey option? That is a good question. So turnkey is kind of all or nothing. If you decide to go turnkey, it is what it is. It's kind of a package deal. On the flip side, if you go owner equity and there's just some things you don't want to do, you can source those out to contractors. So the route I would send you on would be sweat equity with some contractor involvement. And we would make it, just so you know, we make it really simple for you. So we're going to say, here's the things that you need to do. Here's the things that we want you to gather bids for your lender. Here's the things maybe you want to do yourself, so you're not borrowing money to do them. And these things that you don't want to do yourself, like say cleanup, here's some contractors you can call to get bids so that they do that during the job. Hopefully that answered your question. If you do turnkey, can you still do things like deleting backsplashes to give some sweat equity? Good question. So, and I'm glad you asked this. So turnkey is just in reference to the site development portion of the house, of the project. So turnkey is where Adair is going to take on, the excavation, the trenching, the preparing, finished concrete. So preparing for the house. It doesn't change the house itself. So any options you have for a house are options regardless of whether you're doing turnkey for site prep or owner equity. So painting isn't part of turnkey. It is not. Painting is kind of this odd category all of its own. Once Adair takes on the build, once we start the build itself, there's not a lot of opportunity for customer involvement, painting being the main exception. So if you don't want to paint, that's great. We can quote you for painting, or we can give you contractors to quote you for painting. So lots of options for paint. Okay. We are caught up on questions. So I'll let this video keep playing through. If any more questions come in, I'll try and get those answered. From Elena. Do you have an option to have vanities not be attached to the wall so they're easier to replace after the fact without ruining the drywall texture behind it? That is, I've never been asked that question before. I want to say yes, we would have that option, but I can't say that for certain. That might be something that your local HOC would have to dig into a little bit for you. But I always get excited when I have new first-time questions, so congratulations on that one. It makes perfect sense to me. From Stan, does the interior come primered? No, it doesn't. It comes textured. And then from Mike, no medicine cabinets or towel racks. Good question. So we don't do medicine cabinets standard, although you can custom option them rather than like a standard mirror or even on a side wall. Towel racks do come with the base price of the house. They just weren't installed yet at this point. So we would do a full towel bar, hand towel, toilet paper. That's all included. From Chris, please repeat turnkey. What would the owner have to have done? Okay, so this would kind of vary lot by lot. So the idea is that when your superintendent is out there looking at the lot with you, he can give you a better idea of what would not be included in turnkey. But typically turnkey, the idea behind it is that Adair is going to take on the site development portion of your project. Some things that it doesn't include are wells, septics, tree removal, sidewalks. So when we're out looking at that lot, or when you have a particular lot in mind, we can kind of give you an idea. All right, so turnkey is going to take on all of this, except you're going to be responsible for having this tree removed and possibly for having this survey done, kind of a thing. We'll give you a good idea of what to expect. But the idea really is that it's going to take the bulk of the work out of your hands for site development and give it back to Adair. And Chris, I'd be happy to, if you want to talk site prep, I'd be happy to chat with you. You're welcome to give me a call in Crestwell and I'll kind of give you a lay of the land, depending or more specific to the property that you're looking at. From Heather, can you do a tiled shower in the master and just a soaking tub in the second bathroom? Yes, of course. And we can do all kinds of cool things with tile showers. So your HOC will probably ask you about 75 questions to try and narrow down exactly what you're looking for, but yes, of course. And then from Stan, what do you mean textured? Is that finished drywall with textured coat? Finished drywall with orange peel on the walls and a machine brocade on the ceiling, ready for a primer, ready for paint. Raised foundation is included in the price without turnkey. Yes, foundation is included in the base cost of the house. From Elena, are there benefits in getting a fiberglass pan versus mud set floor and a tile shower? You know, I don't know that I'm a good resource for this. I've never done the research. I know that there's a lot of opinions on cleaning tile versus cleaning a fiberglass pan. And fiberglass pan, of course, is slightly less money than a mud set tile floor. So I imagine this is more of a preference kind of position that you would take. But as far as I know, there's no real don't necessarily know that I'd be a good resource for benefits of fiberglass versus mud set tile. Sorry about that. Okay. And that is it for questions. We are all caught up. So hopefully this was useful to you. I'm sorry again, I didn't have my co-host. Next time he'll be back, but I want to thank you all for tolerating this format and for the great questions. And yeah, thanks for chiming in. That's all I got.